Alright, so this is the first video in my Java tutorial series as a final project. So first you're going to want to open up, I'm using Replit right now. If you open a Java file, you'll be prompted with this. Um, and so it always starts with this as like the, whenever you open a Java file. Some files can be blank depending on the language, but for Java it'll open with this. And so typically there would be something written on the third line, but I'm going to explain how the purpose of it and why it does what it does. So first off, um, the most basic thing you can ever do in Java is just print something. That's just the first thing anybody does, and specifically the standard unspoken rule is for anyone's first program to print hello world. And so how we're going to do that is we're going to start with system, and then we're going to do dot out dot print. And then we need a parenthesis. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're just going to put a quotation mark. And then in there, anything we write is what's going to be printed. So, just like that, that's hello world right there. And then if you move over a couple lines, something that's always required for lines like this, you have to put a semicolon. Need to. Some lines that have brackets like this, they're not required. They would actually mess up the program. Um, so let's just go over, we run it like this. And there you go, it prints. Now, something that can be helpful is here, let's see, we're gonna do system.out.print again, and we're gonna just write the letter E. And so the issue with doing that is, okay, so now as you can see, the E is attached to this word instead of it being down here on a new line. And the way to combat that is by writing ln after your statements. So after it says print and before the parenthesis, ln stands for new line. So if we run it again now, there we go. Now it prints down here. Typically, most things you're going to print, it's going to be with ln. It's mostly going to be on a new line. Sometimes even for my own personal programs, I'll put ln on blank lines like this just to create more spaces. It's very useful just for organization and just like to make it look better. Okay, so next, what I'm going to show you now is variables. And so there are a couple different types of variables. Anything that is a whole number is going to be an integer, and an integer would just be int. So if we set up int, let's go with x. Now that's a new variable. So that's telling the program that x is going to be a number. So if we do x equals 4, now it knows that x will represent 4, like in a typical like math equation, something like that. It's going to be exactly the same. You're just telling it in its own language that that means that. So now if we write system out print ln again, but no quotation mark this time. We still need the parenthesis, just no quotation mark. And if we just write x, put the semicolon, and then now we run the program. Now it's going to print 4 because it knows that x is equal to 4. So another thing is, let's say we wanted x to be 4.1. And let's try to run the program again now. and we get an error. That's because integers can't be anything but a whole number. So for this, what we're going to want to do is let's make a new variable. It's going to be called a double, and a double will basically let any variable that's a number that has a decimal attached to it. So we want to go double y. We'll make it y, and then so let's replace this back, and then we have y equals 1.1. Have it like that. All right. So now again, what we're going to do is just print this again, but instead we're going to print y. We need the semicolon again, and now we'll see what it prints. There we go, our 1.1, as opposed to the error before. So anything that is a decimal, it needs the double to instantiate the variable. Okay, so what we're going to move on to now are strings. And so strings contain words, and it's the only type of variable that contains words. And so how we're going to do this is we're going to do string s equals, we're just going to write hello. Simple enough. Um, every time you are writing a string, setting a string equal to something, like something random s, you always have to say what it's going to equal after, as opposed to us instantiating these and then saying what they're equal to after. These always have to be told what they equal to right off the start. So now if we're going to print that again, just as we did with the other variables. So we just put s in here, no quotation marks or anything. It's pulling this s right from here, which it knows it's equal to hello. So it will print hello. Perfect. It says hello right down here, and obviously because this is all still written here, it's going to just print everything that it says. If we delete these lines, then it'll only print hello. Alright, so I think that wraps it up for this video. See you in the next one.